Good evening. It being after 7 o'clock, what's today? The July 22nd meeting of the Conservation Commission will come to order. The first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next up, approval of minutes, June 24th, 2026 and July 8th, 2026. I'll just note that the June 24th, 2026 we made some slight modifications between last meeting to this meeting regarding the review of the regulations bylaw committee, and basically keeping them in the loop on providing final language for the final proposals that we vote on. So if anyone has reviewed those minutes, I could use a motion to get those approved.
Motion to approve the minutes from June 24th and July 8th.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? There being none, of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And those are approved unanimously. Next up, new business, Sutton Street Culvert Repairs, North Andover DPW.
So we have our DPW Director, Jim Stanford, and our Town Engineer, Assistant DPW Director, John Bergese, with us this evening. Sutton Street brick culvert is in need of immediate repairs per the narrative and plans that are provided in your packet. I think I will hand it over to them to give you a rundown and field your questions. I think in the end what we're looking for is a friendly enforcement order to allow the emergency repairs to move forward, but that's that. So take it away.
Great.
Thank you, Amy. Good evening, John Bergese. I'm the Assistant Director / Town Engineer here in North Andover. I'm joined with Jim Stanford, the Director of Public Works. So just to give you a little quick summary, there was quite a bit in my memo here with regards to the brick arch culvert that's under Sutton Street, which actually carries the flow from Sutton Pond and directs it into a culvert that ultimately ends up into the Merrimack River. Essentially, in April of this past year, we hired TEC as our consultant to do a structural assessment of both some key bridges and culverts here in town. And it was on April 22nd when they notified us. One of the culverts we had them examining was the brick arch culvert, stone brick arch culvert under Sutton Street. They had identified a substantial deficiency in the structural of the brick arch itself and also the stone breast wall, as you can see in the photos here. There's a substantial chunk of the brick arch that's actually dislocated. We think it ended up downstream possibly. And there's that stone breast wall underneath also. In places, stones have been dislodged. And the mortar's actually broken apart in quite a few areas. We do believe this is related to the floods we had a couple of years ago, because there was a substantial amount of flow that was flowing through there consistently for a long time till the water levels receded. So based on TEC's recommendation, they provided us with a temporary traffic control plan. Ultimately, the big thing is we wanted to get the traffic off this area. So it was in June June 3rd, actually, when we implemented the temporary traffic control plan, shifting all the traffic to the eastern side of Sutton Street, cutting it down to one lane kind of per direction, get all the traffic off of the western side, which is where this impact is, which is the oldest section of that stone brick arch. What we're able to identify in the records is it's actually over 100 years old.
Closer to 130.
Yeah.
We actually have the fire insurance plans from the original mill, and, it took a little bit of investigation just to figure out exactly, when you look at the old fire insurance plan, it actually shows a little cart path. And when we went down there and started looking at it, first we were a little confused as to, the brickwork is phenomenal, but it's definitely built in multiple sections. So we're able to determine that the oldest section is what has actually deteriorated. There's not as much mortar. But aside from that, to get 130 years out of a culvert, which was never intended to take the traffic that Sutton Street takes, is really phenomenal.
So with that, we reached out to once the traffic control plan was set up, we reached out to our in-house contractor, FP Riley. Actually, on May 12th, Amy, myself, and FP Riley visited the site. That's when I made Amy aware of what's going on here, the criticality of this and need for the emergency. We actually looked at and went into, I'll say, Amy and FP Riley. I didn't have my boots, so I didn't go in the arch, but they did. She saw, inspected the whole thing with FP Riley, and then we discussed, okay, how do we fix this? What are the next steps? So Riley came up with proposed temporary and kind of long-term repairs for the brick arch, which is detailed in the memo, and I'll just quickly go over kind of what they're envisioning and what we're asking for your approval to help us be able to do. So first was access. Obviously, the inlet side it abuts 10 Main Street, is actually owned by, it's the Pellich, I forget the address. It's the,
on Sutton.
yeah, it's the
This-
Sutton. It's
it's
that
the,
parcel there owns all of
dialysis-
Sutton Pond. Yes.
Here, this one.
So to gain access to the inlet of the culvert, the easiest way was to go through 10 Main Street. We actually did reach out and met with the owners of that property. We were able to secure a access agreement to allow us to gain access to the inlet of the culvert, stone brick arch culvert. We will have to remove a couple trees and build, essentially, because it is a slope downward, a temporary construction access road, as you can see in the plan here. I mentioned to Amy that we were going to have to remove a couple of trees. That's something, any tree removal work, we told her, we would bring her out, identify those trees, and make sure she's okay. Obviously limiting, we're only going to remove the trees we need to. We have no intention of clear cutting the place or anything like that, just enough so we can get our equipment down into the inlet area and ultimately into the culvert for the repairs. Let's see. Removing the trees, construct the construction access. One of the other things we discussed and we looked at, Riley requested, and talking with the director, we also think it's a good idea, of trying to lower the water level during this work in Sutton Pond. I know this has been an issue in the past, but we do think for safety purposes, while FP Riley and his guys are inside that culvert doing this work, we think it would benefit everyone if we're allowed to lower the levels of Sutton Pond, which means we need access to, there is a berm up top where we can get our equipment over to the weir structure, exactly where Amy's pointing. We have been told by the owner he knows the the boards, essentially. There's a couple of boards that, in the heyday, they could pull them out to lower the level, put them back in to allow it to naturally raise. The boards are there, but he knows they're not going to come out easily. So Riley recommended, they could get their equipment over there. Again, I think they will need to remove a couple of trees to get the equipment to the weir structure. And then they recommended setting up we've used these before in other projects. They're the large 1.5-ton sandbags that you can essentially place and use to dam up the water. They actually would like to do that on the inlet side of the weir structure to be able to pump it down and see what's going on with those boards and the rail and the channing. And then be able to get the boards out, probably put new boards in, pull the dam, and then slowly we would remove boards, lowering the water level while we do the work on the inside. We also are going to set up a temporary bypass. Again, includes these large sandbag dams on the right in that area, where we're going to set up the dam and then set up a temporary bypass pump with piping and a generator that'll allow us to bypass what's coming through the channel all the way through the brick arch to the outlet side, where we'd construct a spill pad at the outlet of the discharge piping. And then Riley indicated they had researched, and I want to say it's almost like a turbidity. It sounded like a turbidity
boom,
curtain.
sort of.
Yeah, that they can install kind of downstream. They said about 20, 30 feet where it made sense. And even though there's not a lot of flow in there, it actually will sit there. And if the flow comes up, it'll kind of come up
raise up
with
with
it
it,
and go down.
Floats.
Yep.
Yep.
To keep anything from floating downstream. So once the bypass is set up, that will allow Riley to do the temporary and hopefully long-term repair work inside the brick arch. First and foremost, once they get in there, they have to reset. There are larger stone slabs on the floor. They have to kind of reposition them and reset them so we have essentially a flat floor surface that they can then install some temporary shoring. This is again coming from TEC's recommendations that we install temporary shoring to allow till we can do the temporary repairs on the brick and the stone breast wall underneath. Exactly. This is a plan that was prepared by Riley's subconsultant Mar Scaffolding, depicting the temporary scaffolding that they're looking to install inside the brick arch. Once the floor is somewhat even, they can install this temporary scaffolding, and then they can do the repairs to the brick and the stone breast wall, which is going to include repointing brick, getting debris out of there, the debris that they needs to be removed and disposed of off-site, resetting the stone in the stone breast wall area, remortar that in, and then installing some grout in the majorly impacted area. Once that's completed, then they can remove the scaffolding, and then the long-term fix is, and they're still working the details out on this, but it's going to be, we're going to create a substructure of a rebar cage inside, so it'll form to both the sidewalls, the floor, and the brick arch itself, and then a spray structural liner. Essentially, they spray the concrete liner on the rebar, and it ties all the surfaces in, creating, one structural brick arch that will handle what Sutton Street is seeing for traffic. That's it in a nutshell. That's all. Right?
Pretty big nutshell.
Yes, I know. This is not one, we were anticipating, but I'm glad we found it when we did,
Yeah.
and definitely shifted that traffic when we did also.
tough
Did you,
spot.
I didn't know, did you have anything,
No, I
Jim,
think
to
that
add?
the photos don't do it justice as to the bricks that have actually, the force of water moving those bricks, separating, is really something, as well as the granite blocks that are just littered on the floor. It's amazing how much force. And I think that's one of the concerns with, we would have preferred not to touch the dam, just because once we start moving the boards, we own it, whereas before it's a private property. And my understanding is it hasn't been lowered in probably 30 years. But it's clearly a safety. If you look at the scaffolding there, if you picture the rainstorms that we had 2 Augusts ago, if we got something like that, well, the scaffolding, we could lose quite a bit more of the bridge, so, in the culvert. So that's really, it's not something we wanted to do, but we think that it's prudent, just given the safety.
It looked like in that first picture that the course of bricks had actually pushed out, from the other, from the adjacent course, so several spots, so.
Yeah, there were three
Yeah.
courses?
Yeah,
I
it's
think?
actually 3. We don't have real good plans, and that was one of the confusing things about it, because when you actually put your hand in there, you could see that one section has 4 courses of brick, and then when we started looking, the older section only has 3 courses. So, and that was some of the concern as to the structural stability of this. I suspect it wasn't just the force of the water. During those flooding events, we had trees, tree branches going through over the wear, and it's easy to see how one brick missing could be caught by a branch being flushed through. So it is substantial difference. And when you're in there, you can stick your arm through. So it's a major issue for sure.
Okay, well, we'll go to the commission for some questions.
Sure.
Brad?
Yeah, that clearly qualifies for an emergency repair, and especially when you tell me there's a suspect dam upstream of it. So, I hate the expense as a taxpayer, but I don't hate the fact that someone's taking ownership of the actual dam structure, so. I think I'm all set. Looks like you got a good plan.
Yeah, I don't have any additional comments. I mean, I think it's definitely an emergency and needs to be repaired.
Absolutely. You did a good job, John, taking us through the prep and
Sure.
the repairs and working toward permanent repairs. So my question is, what is your intent here? Do you plan to stabilize it under this enforcement order or emergency cert, whatever we decide, and just use one mobilization to do the final repair?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so Riley, it's essentially Riley would help us with all of it. They'd come in, they'd do the temporary scaffolding, they do the temporary, and they've already reached out to a subcontractor on doing the permanent. They're working on that. If I had it finalized, I would have submitted it to you. But
okay.
yeah, they're going to do it everything on this one mob, so we don't have to essentially, hopefully, ever come back again.
Yeah. It being the dry season right now, this is probably a good time to start.
Yes.
But what's your sense of the duration?
So Riley told me essentially once we get the go-ahead, obviously the critical thing is getting the trees down, but they are going to start and they're going to be there till it finishes, till they get to that final doing the rebar, and the spray liner stuff. So I anticipate probably, what do you think, 2 to 3 months
Probably 2 to 3 months.
would be my guess,
Depending on
start
how
to
it goes,
finish.
because again, once they start, the company, the subcontractor that we have coming in, they actually do these old brick culvert restorations. It's really something that there are so many of these, especially in New England, that there are companies that actually specialize in it. So I would agree. I think 2 to 3 months is reasonable, so that takes us into mid to late fall.
Yeah.
Sounds reasonable. Okay. Sean, any questions?
Not really on a conservation level, but just it's a very interesting situation. I do have a lot of just general questions.
Sure.
So how is the water getting into the culvert? Where's it flowing from? catch basins on Sutton Street?
No, majority of the flow is coming from Sutton Pond.
Okay.
Through the weir, if you want to go back to the plan, I could probably, yeah, it's all on this plan here. So what happens is there's a weir structure on the top there. That's a weir structure. Yep, so Sutton Pond is behind it. That's a weir structure. Then it's in this stone channel. Yep, it comes right around, wraps right around, runs right along the edge of Sutton Street. And then the inlet into that stone brick arch culvert goes under Sutton Street. And then it's open channel for a little ways, and then it goes into a closed culvert system. Yeah, at the tracks, the railroad tracks. And then outlet to Merrimack River.
And what's the distance of the culvert?
Meaning the entire length
Yeah.
across, I think it was 50, I did measure it. I think it's about 50 feet from inlet to outlet all across, because it's angled going across Sutton Street.
And I know you're focused on like 22 to 32 feet, it seemed like, right?
Yeah, well, that's where that.
Damage is.
They had identified that's where that damage is, so they wanted to make sure we shifted, the traffic, so it wasn't on that area.
And I imagine while they're down there, if they see, I mean, there's probably some maintenance that needs to take place throughout that.
Yeah,
culvert,
so
right?
what FP Riley said is, obviously, we're gonna focus on this primary area, but then they're gonna inspect the whole thing. So if there's other areas that need more mortar or bricks replaced or whatnot, they're gonna do all of that first before we come in and do the rebar substructure and the spray liner.
I don't have any other questions right now, thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't have any doubt that this is an emergency certification and should be granted that status, whatever expedites it most quickly. I just wanted to comment real quick. When you talked about the quality of construction of the culvert,
Yeah.
that was probably thanks to the Eben-Sutton Mill in 1860 or 1870 when they first built the Dizzy Bridge for the rail to come through.
Yep.
That was all part of Eben-Sutton's master plan, if you will. And he did it. Him and his men did it. So,
Yeah.
They should get credit.
They absolutely should.
We actually went to the Historic Society, and we were looking just on the photos on the wall, and then we came across in our archives these fire insurance plans, which a wealth of information. They actually show the Dizzy Bridge.
Yeah.
So this is early or late 1890s.
Yeah.
Kenny Crouch, I think, either owns or owned the Dizzy Bridge at some point, and the water rights through there. And I remember him when we were at a class reunion. He was talking about he got the original title insurance
Oh, okay.
that dated back to the Sutton Mill
Wow.
for the Dizzy Bridge.
Yeah.
So it's out there.
Yeah.
Good luck with it, guys.
Oh, thank you.
I do have one more question. Is there, now, you're going to have to divert traffic, right?
Well, that's been done. So the traffic is going to continue the way it is even while we're doing all the repairs. We're not going
So
to
there's-
change that.
There's no temporary disturbance for adding an additional lane or
Nope.
traffic?
Nope, everything is underneath that we're going to be doing.
Okay.
And the traffic shift has already happened, and that'll stay in place, until all the repairs are completed.
Okay,
Yep,
got it.
And the sole purpose of that shift is just keep weight off of the culvert, right?
correct. Yep, in the area where it's been impacted.
Yeah, we can hear from you. Yeah, please.
Melinda Perone, 65 Meadowood Road, and Mr. Borghese and Mr. Stanford. I've spoken to both you in the past, and I'm glad that you have gone to the Historical Society to look into this historic culvert. I think that's fabulous. I have a couple questions for you. First of all, did they agree at the Historical Society that this was a historical object or architecture that needed to be preserved? Because once it's preserved, we will be left with, again, a culvert that was built in 1850, 1885. Is that of significance? That was my first question. Second question was, have you spoken to Mr. Shapiro and the planning board, or excuse me, town management, about the dam itself, which is one of our 3 high-risk dams? And the state Department of Environmental Restoration had awarded the town a $30,000 study, which was done about the dam, because it is a high-risk dam, and about dam removal. So have you worked with them about that? Because I can envision months of work on this, and then the question of, will dam removal be considered? Will it be off the table at that point? How will this affect those plans if they go forward?
Let me start with the dam removal, because we were actually involved in that study. So, yes, we've spoken with the planning department. We've read the final report on that. I think the study was more, it wasn't a means, it was just one step from a grant. And there's still a lot of discussion as to whether you remove that dam. From my perspective, I've seen dams fail. I'd much prefer to eliminate it, but there are other factors relative to that. And so that's outside the scope of this. The other thing is, it is a private dam. It's not owned by the town. One of the things that we mentioned earlier, that what led to this is we're doing an inspection of all our major culverts, all our major bridges. I'll be honest with you, the thing that concerned me most is, if you look at Sutton Pond where it comes over the dam, it takes a sharp left. I mean, it's certainly not the natural flow. I was surprised to see that's been around since the 1890s, and the brick has been there. And we were actually more concerned of losing Sutton Street because of the wall, because it's a fairly deep wall. In those discussions on the study, we were trying to ascertain who actually, over the years, would maintain the boards, removing the boards. And that led to another study where we actually looked at all the high-risk dams along this Cochicowick Brook. And one of the issues in trying to manage during flooding events, because that's where our concern is with any type of dam, is who's actually responsible for lowering it. And that's one of the problems with high-risk dams. Now, when we have control of something, like the hatch, like the other at the mill pond, further upstream, we have full control. But then you get into areas like that are owned by the mills over off of High Street. They have privately owned dams. So one of the study, what it led to is we need to have discussions with all the dam owners, so that if let's say we open up the hatch, we create a downstream problem. So as far as the owner of the dam, he's amenable to different aspects, whether he's not certain what the best outcome should be, because the pond does have some value. It certainly has value, but then it conflicts with the high-risk nature. So right now, the scope of this is just to lower the pond temporarily. We'll probably, as John mentioned, we'll probably have to remove the boards, and because they probably haven't been opened in 30 years or thereabouts, the condition of those boards are probably in rough shape.
Was that not the solution to the flood study for Cochicowick Brook, that those boards would be left out?
They looked at a few different things. One of the things they actually looked at is, would it make sense to realign, eliminate that dam, and move the brook back to where the natural flow would have been?
Jim, I don't want to cut you off, because
Sorry.
I can see you're on a roll, but you said that the dam discussion is really out of scope of what we're trying to do here tonight. And it's good background stuff and stuff that we need to continue to pay attention to. But I would like any more discussion to be focused on the specific project that's in front of us right now.
Thank
Is there anything else? No? Okay. Yes, go.
So do you have a feel for the timing of all the subcontractors?
So
Like,
FB Riley is pretty much good to go as
Okay.
soon as we get
Yeah.
whatever you guys are going to
Yeah.
issue to us. So I want to say within a week, they're ready to go. Mar Scaffolding, I think, is ready to go
Go.
on the temporary.
Okay.
So that portion, they want to kind of get going on that, and then we'll have the final repair, meaning the cage, the rebar cage, and the spray liner. Like while they're working on that, we'll get that finalized, and then they'll come in
Okay.
afterwards. Again,
Okay.
the goal being, they're going to move forward until it's done. They're not going to
Right.
leave.
So would you anticipate leaving the scaffolding in until we know that
So-
second,
Yeah.
the final
Yes.
contractor's
Yeah.
gonna be
I'm not
coming
going to
in?
have them remove
All right.
as long as they can get the grout in where they need to with the
Yep.
temporary scaffolding in there, it'll stay in there until we're ready to start building that
Okay.
rebar cage.
Okay.
Essentially, once they do those repairs, meaning the grout, the brick, the breast wall, technically, the arch is back working as it should
Yeah, yeah.
structurally. So it is sound, but, we're not gonna open traffic back
Okay.
up or anything like that till we have the permanent,
Okay.
which is that rebar cage and the spray liner installed.
Okay, and then, so, is there more than one contractor for the spray liner, or
So
that
I
you're
believe
looking at,
it'll
or-
be one contractor who sprays it, if it works
Okay.
similar to our others. And then there'll be a design for the rebar cage. That Riley may just end up installing himself, he said, depending on what it looks like, so.
Okay, so it'll be repairs,
Mhm.
spray, and then we'll see a cage?
No, cage first.
Cage first,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then the
so this
spray.
is like
Got
rebar
it.
inside a concrete
Got it.
slab.
Okay.
So you won't see the cage when all is said and done.
Got it.
The cage gets built first, and then they come in and they spray the whole cage.
Okay, got it.
Yep.
Is accessing the culvert easy, regardless of, time of year, time of day?
It is, granted, the most difficult part, and again, 10 Main Street was outstanding. The owners, they gave us the access agreement. Building the temporary construction access road is probably the biggest and most disturbing part for this area. But once that's constructed, then it's pretty easy to go right into the back of 10 Main Street, right down this access road and get down in there.
Would you guys ever think about putting a camera down there to just keep an eye out in the future, or can you just access it whenever you need?
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah, you know.
readily available.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you don't mind swimming, which I did.
Yeah, well, if you want to go get down in there, you
I-
could definitely get down.
Down, upstream is actually easier
Easier,
than downstream,
yeah.
believe it or not.
Yep.
Thanks.
So my recommendation would be, considering the length of time, an emergency is only good for 30 days, so I would recommend an enforcement order incorporating this plan and incorporating, obviously, pre-construction site inspections for all phases of implementation with me. And if the commission wants to tag along, happy to do that, so that's, okay.
Yeah, sounds pretty sensible. Just one comment before we vote. Would you, I think it'd be sensible to mark the trees for
Absolutely.
They're already
inspection by
marked.
us.
I looked at them already.
Oh, you already looked at them?
It's not very many.
At the entrance
It's
area
not
there.
that many.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I can
They
take a look
really
at it, all right.
Yep.
So we have a motion and a second to issue a friendly enforcement order for repair of the Sutton Street culvert. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you should stay right there.
We're going to.
Okay, next up was a modification request for Osgood Street and Great Pond Road intersection improvement. North Andover DPW, Tropiano Construction Contractors.
So the commission will recall the contractors requesting a modification to the bond, performance bond requirement of a cash bond of $50,000. And we had some initial conversation at the last meeting, needed some more information. They're asking that we piggyback with the existing bond that is secured with the town. And if that's not agreeable, then it would be a separate sort of it's a surety type setup. And then if piggybacking with that it wouldn't be acceptable, then it would be like a separate surety for just the commission. So they were scheduled to start construction this week. So as a sort of a stopgap measure, they cut a check for $50,000 payable to the town. We have that in abeyance in the office. So as we continue this discussion. So I had John and Jim provide us with the bid docs, the RFP response from Tropiano, and the final contract. And that's, I provided that to you a couple times, I think, now. So I'll hand it over to you.
Sure.
Have a nice day.
As Amy explained, Tropiano, our contractor, had asked, part of the bid docs in public procurement in Massachusetts is they're required to put up performance and payment bonds. So under this contract, we actually have 100% of a performance bond, which is $1.6 million approximately, a 50% payment bond, which comes out to about $830,000 for this project. Given we had those bonds in place, Tropiano asked, could we forego the $50,000 cash, and if need be, we have these bonds, or we're willing to put up a separate surety for the $50,000 for the commission. So we were amenable to at least asking the request. I know we've had other contractors in the past who have kind of asked this of us, because one of the unfortunate things is the towns, we're not allowed to bond ourselves. So accounting has basically said, DPW can't put the $50,000 up for this requirement of the cash bond. So it's something we end up having to push back onto our contractors, which is an additional cost for the town for our project, having to do that. And actually, some of our contractors, the smaller ones, it's too much for them to put that up ahead of time. So we potentially lose some contractors at times with a $50,000 cash bond being put up. So that was a request. One other thing Jim and I were talking about, on all our construction projects, we actually have a 5% retainage, which is typical in the industry. So every pay rec that is submitted, 5% is held back. So for this project, that's going to equate to approximately $80,000 of retainage that until we reach substantial completion and the request is made, that stays. We hang on to that. We don't pay it out. So one of the things we talked about is knowing that we have the performance bond, the payment bond, and this 5% retainage. Jim and I were amenable to allowing, essentially Amy's sign-off before we release any retainage on the project. So that way there's a surety. You still have $80,000, that we're hanging on to, and until, Amy would give us her blessing, we're perfectly fine not releasing that. We work well together with Amy, and, we want to make sure everything conservation wants done is done, before we lose a contractor too. That's the point of the retainage. So that was, I don't know if you had anything to add, Jim?
Perfect. Yeah, Amy touched on it in her opening, that we did have a discussion on this at last meeting. I don't know if you watched it or not, but there was some difference of opinion. There was some difference of opinion on, cash or just surety.
Sure.
Traditionally, it has been cash. We deferred it to this meeting because we wanted to review, at Matt's request, review the contract documents. Now, Matt's not here, but he did go through the documents and gave us a little bit of an opinion of what he's thinking about. I could summarize that in a few
Okay.
sentences. Oh, wait, did he want us to read that?
Well, I said I would.
That's kind of long. I know I
Go
can
ahead,
summarize
go
it
ahead.
pretty well.
Yeah.
Whatever you like.
He made some very good points, that bonding for town projects needs to be better coordinated.
Yep.
We've got these bonds, our bond goes in there, and our order of conditions was, itemized out from the bid documents. When we reviewed it, it was in there just as we had, as ordered it. So, from what we could tell, the contractor bid the job based on providing, satisfying all the orders of conditions, including the cash bond. And that I think was what was missing from Matt's logical thought process. He's an attorney also.
Sure.
So his opinion was that, boy, it seems kind of muddled. It seems a little bit duplication of bonds to have yet another bond. But that's worked for us in the past, okay? And so what I took away from his very good input, actually, was that we should probably think this through and come up with
Sure.
a little bit of a policy that makes sense for the town and conservation.
Yep.
So that we are sure that we can, remediate anything that goes wrong, that we have funds to do that, because that's really the intent of that bond.
Of course.
Okay, and we have gotten burned on it very infrequently in the past, but we have gotten burned on them in the past. So, anyway, I think that pretty much summarizes Matt's comments. So I'll leave it at that, and then I'll go to the commission for comments, and hopefully we can finalize this tonight.
I don't wish to reopen the discussion because it was wholly boring. But I do believe, in this case, our bond is completely redundant. I also don't know if a policy would fix anything. We're here because of policy. I think we should be able to, that's why we exist, so we could take an issue like, oh, well, we don't need it in this case, and we vote and we move on, rather than trying to make a rule for every single edge case. So I don't think they need our bond in this one. I realize I'm going to get outvoted, but that's fine, and that's my piece.
Where is that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I completely understand, like, some of the other commission members' hesitation with releasing the cash bond, but looking at it on a case-by-case basis, especially a project of this size with the retainage, and there's an OPM on this project, right?
So we do have Vanessa & Associates is
Okay.
our contractor, on-site contractor. So they're doing all the inspections, including the environmental monitoring reports.
And, like you mentioned, the retainage is held back, so it's not gonna be like a 50% payment and then 100% payment.
Exactly.
So it's,
Yep.
it's a little different. So I think in a case like this, I would be okay with a performance bond in lieu of a cash bond.
A surety bonding.
Surety
Instead
bond,
of a
thank you.
cash bond,
Yep.
Sean?
I mean, in my experience, maybe it's just because I've been on the commission so long, I've always heard that the cash is king, and cash gets things done.
Yep.
So for that reason, I think the cash bond is probably, certainly monetarily it's not, but practically speaking, could be the most important bond we have. So I want to probably hold on to that.
So I'm the guy that caused all the trouble at the last meeting. And
It's all good.
we all know each other, and I don't know the contractor, but I have no problem with the contractor.
Yep.
This is just based upon I've probably been on the commission too long, but it's based upon my longevity on the commission, and situations where cash was the only option that got something done when a particular contractor over by McDonald's decided to fly away in the middle of the night, and the only thing we had was cash, and we didn't have enough. I don't object to surety bonds as much as everybody thinks I do. I just don't understand how you get, if everything goes wrong, and you have to come up with some money to finish the project, how do you get the surety money? Because I know how you get the cash. We're gonna have it in the treasurer's office, and it's right there, and you walk in and say, hey, I need that 50 grand, we gotta finish that job. And the money's right there, and you can finish the job. How do you get the surety money? What's the process? Who issues the surety money? Who guarantees that money?
I can answer that very well, because I've had to take cash bonds. I've also had to take surety bonds. Over the last 35 years, believe it or not, this was a common problem that you've seen. I'd like to think it's a little different now with the relationship that we have, but surely a surety bond is very difficult, because what ends up happening is you are required to call the surety company, and then it's up to them if they want to work and fix the problem. So paper bonds, I would agree with that. I sat on the planning board for 15 years. It is very difficult to go after a surety bond. Believe it or not, the cash bonds, you can't just take. And I'd be surprised if you were able to do that without a lot of headache. It's essentially the same thing. One of the problems that we've noticed, John and I coming in over the last 10 years, is you have bonds, not just here, but other things in town that were never done. And you kind of touched on it a little bit. You get a bond today, 30 years from now, that bond, even if you had the cash, isn't enough to fix because of inflation. And that's a common thing with a lot of bonds that have been sitting around for a lot of time. So I would have agreed with you 100%. Taking a cash bond is much better. And we've actually done it over the time. A lot of times we don't have the discretion you have, because it is by state law. You have a right to set the amount and the type of bond. So that's purely, we don't really have that when we talk about like road opening bonds and things like that. Yeah. I think when we're talking town projects, the difference, cash or surety bond, the surety bonds we have to by law, based on state law relative to public works construction projects. The retainage is a little bit different. That's something that the town sets. As far as we look, because what would be far better to overreach this discussion is that if we, with the amount of work we do, I mean, our budget, we spend millions of dollars a year on construction projects. Some have conservation impact, some don't. We would much rather just put the cash aside and put it aside just so that you would have that, or Amy would have that. That would actually be better than getting a cash bond from one of our contractors. The problem is, when we looked into it, we didn't have the right to create a surety bond in cash to be held. But we've actually been thinking there may be other things we can do where, similar to what we do with police details. When we set our budget, we set aside $100,000 or whatever it is for, to pay the police department to manage traffic on our projects. So we were kind of thinking outside the box there, and this is probably the longer discussion. We think there's a way that we could give Amy access to whatever the dollar value is, 30,000, 40, 50,000, to guarantee, in other words, it'd be in the Conservation Commission's, it would be DPW funds that gets transferred over there. When the work is done, you just transfer it back. So we think there may be a way around it, but that's kind of long-term. In the short term, again, I understand, we feel bad for our contractors because it's an incidental cost to them, but it is a cost to them.
So one of the things that we have, one of the practices that we've engaged in over the years is when a contractor or whoever posts the cash to the town, they're allowed to come back periodically and request a reduction or a refund, which is something that the commission has done on the reg. Like I said, I don't know the company that you're dealing with. I have no problem with them. I just feel like at this point in time, and I have all the respect in the world for you guys, I do, I just feel at this point in time, it would be the wrong time to put something out there that we don't even know how to access it. I mean, you know, God forbid, if that thing went wrong, how do I get in touch with the surety? Is it a bank? Is it an insurance company? Is it like title insurance? What is it? And if I don't know what it is, I don't have great confidence in how I would access it. I know that if something goes wrong and Amy comes to us and says, hey, that project is FUBAR, we need to get that money out and we have to fix it, we can do it. We have a hearing on it. It's not automatic, but we can get it done. So anyway, that was what motivated my position, my opinion on it. I guess that was a lot of time to say very little, but anyway, that's where I stand on it. And I'm not so sure that I have the votes. My brother on the other end thinks he's losing, but he's a good poker player, so.
How far along is the project at this point?
Oh, so they just started.
Right, I mean, I'm looking at the May 2026 date. Yep.
And that's the difficult part from the contractor's perspective. Before they can bill us $1, they have to put up $50,000. Not every contractor would do it. I think the only difference here is that it's a town project. The town isn't going anywhere, you know, and so I agree with you with paper bonds. They're very difficult. Bonding is statutory required through the state law, but I think the difference here is that the town is paying for the work to be done. We've put the order conditions in with the contract. They're responsible. And like I said, we could make it so that Amy doesn't sign off on the payment of the work, especially as it relates to anything conservation-wise. So I think I understand on this particular project right now, but I think in the bigger discussion for future, I think there is a way that we can give you your assurance and satisfy the town requirements of not really bonding itself.
Well, we're coming from the same place. My interest is protecting the town interests and the town's resources. So we're not that far off on opinion-wise. We just don't have the road to get there yet. But that's it.
I just have a couple things.
Yes, ma'am.
So, you know, our concern is making sure that the contractor doesn't walk away leaving the place a mess and unstabilized. Or maybe critical infrastructure like drainage that would impact the wetlands undone, right? And then the other thing is too, is as-built plans. My tenure in Beverly, I don't think I ever saw an as-built plan for a town project. And I don't understand the mentality for not wanting one, like even for a DPW to have those. So I think that's the other side of the coin for us. So, you know, I hope that it's different here in North Andover, that you guys, I want an as-built plan, guys, stamped and delivered.
So don't we.
So, you know, so we want to see that come full circle with a certificate of compliance, and we have an as-built. So I think those are the main things. It's, so I guess moving forward with the broader discussion, we want that comfort level that we're going to get the final deliverables. And the other thing, and I don't know if this is something we can explore for the broader discussion, but for the Princeton property project 1210 Osgood, and we had to do enforcement orders for the RCA that was buried, and then, you know, the contamination of the wetland from it. So there's an ongoing groundwater treatment system there that is going to probably run for years. It's already been running for probably 8 years, and it's slowly dealing with the high pH water levels. But anyway, what had happened with that was the attorney for Princeton decided or worked with us and established what's called a letter of credit. I don't know if that's something that, or I don't know what the logistics for shorter periods of time for a project, but I don't know if that's something we could explore as well.
Letter of credits are, it's almost as good as cash. So I would say from the headache standpoint, bonds are the hardest to obtain, letter of credits are next, and then the
And then the
cash.
cash.
So the letter of credit, and it's a common thing in other communities, a letter of credits from the bank, essentially it's a draft that says you can pull on
Pull on this
if
money.
they don't satisfy.
Satisfy.
I can tell you the banks will then fight, because we've had that.
Okay.
So it doesn't, it's no different than a surety bond. Everything that requires, and even with the cash, you can't just call up the treasurer and
Right,
say,
and-
give it to me.
right.
It is,
It's a-
there's
it's a
more involved.
process.
And it's hard to take, because, again, it's, you think you're protected, and you are. Eventually, you're gonna win, but it's the hassle. And again, I think the difference is, like with, even if, we're not here, we have a NIPD's permit for drainage. So there are things that we have to do, as you know, every year to comply with that permit. Private entities don't have the things that we have. I mean, we're essentially all working on the same team, and we know we need to get this work done. So if Amy calls up and says, we've got a problem here, we're going to address it. And that's not a private entity. That's because if we give her lip service, she's just going to call the town manager, who's going to direct us to do it. And I mean, I think that's the difference. But again, on the bigger discussion, we could probably give you more information. We can, the letter of credits, we can look at that sort of thing. But I honestly, from our perspective, if I could just give you access to an account, that to me is better than putting money in the treasurer.
Better for Amy too, maybe, when we see her driving a new car, why,
Fortunately, we have a town accountant, finance director.
Make sure that doesn't.
Yeah. Are we ready for a motion?
Yeah.
You're not gonna make yours again? I'll make one then. I move that we approve the request to modify the bond condition for 125 Great Pond Road intersection 242-1911.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. The motion
And I
fails.
said that was gonna happen about 25 minutes ago.
The motion fails.
Here we are.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
But it is a
Thank
good discussion.
Yes,
And it is
Ab.
something that we can try to, clean up going forward, for sure.
Yeah,
Yep,
I
yep,
think
yep.
Amy and I chatted, and we'll definitely talk and see if we can come up with something, and then come back to the board,
Yep.
the commission, and present,
They can-
hopefully,
they
give
can
you a
request-
surety.
They can request partial paybacks too.
Yes,
Yeah.
no, that I know. I always make the
They
contractor
can
aware
come to
that
us
they
and
can request.
Say, we've got
yep.
this percentage of work completed,
Sure.
and we
Yep.
do that all the time, so I
Yep.
mean, it's not like we're,
Yeah, no. No,
You really
we
didn't think
know.
that was settled? Those lines were drawn a while ago.
I don't know.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
Very enlightening.
Thank you.
Thank you very
All
much.
right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Next modification, 242 1885 416 Abbott Street.
Alrighty. Okay, so this is an order that was issued in July of 2024, and it governs some after-the-fact permitting for patio construction, soil disturbance, and foundation drain installation. Proposed work under that order included restructuring rear stairs and additional deck, fence installation, and wetland, actually buffer zone restoration. So this particular modification deals with the existing deck that will be demolished by hand and disposed via dumpster. Concrete footings will be poured, and installation of the new deck, stairs, and railings will have a smaller footprint than the existing structure and will remain outside the 50-foot no-build zone. So you're seeing the existing deck right here in the plan. The other part of the modification is to create a 15 by 15 wood perimeter play area, fill and level the area with wood chips, and install the playground apparatus. So they're pointing to this area that was previously disturbed by the drain installation. I did email them just stating that it would need to stay outside the 25, which is this red dotted line here. But in the past, the commission has determined in past filings that play apparatus aren't structures. They're not listed in our regs or anything like that. So the homeowner's here this evening if you have questions for him, but that's it in a nutshell.
Could you just point out, before we get started, what was previously approved and completed was a patio? And
Yes,
then
patio-
versus what is proposed right now?
Patio, new stairs, remove pre-existing fence and install a new fence in conformity with wetland setbacks, revegetate disturbed areas with approved native species, and modify part of the existing patio into stepping stones, and then plant and sod and reestablish the yard within the fenced area. So all those things are completed, so I think.
Can you indicate on where that existing patio is? The one that was just done?
So it's basically this area.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, and then this area is turned into sort of like a stepping stone type thing
Yep.
with grass in between. And then the fence here and all the plantings behind. So those are all installed. We're in, I think, the second year of monitoring for those
Okay.
restoration plantings.
Okay,
So all that's left is the deck and the play structure.
got it. Okay,
And where are those going? I'm sorry.
All right, so the deck is
Slow it down.
here,
Okay,
and it'll be more like this.
okay.
That's the house. And then the play structure will be in this area.
Oh, okay, so the play structure's not on
Yeah,
there.
it's just kind of,
Okay.
yeah.
The disturbed area that goes into the 25, how was that disturbed?
That
Or
was
was
just
that-
sort of, that was due to the installation of the foundation drain. That was a after-the-fact activity, and now that's been restored since. So
Okay.
that's stabilized. It's just, that's where, it's just kind of, this is where they're eyeing for the
Yeah,
play structure.
I don't have a problem with the play area and the 50 as long as it stays out to 25. I think I'm
Yeah.
all set.
Marissa?
I guess my one comment is there a slope down to the wetland area there?
It's gentle. I mean,
Okay.
there is some, but it's not precipitous.
I would just say that the grading for leveling the play area should also remain outside the 25.
Good point. Sean, any questions?
So is there, is part of the existing fence within the 25?
It was, but it's not anymore.
Thanks.
Al?
Is there a waiver request with this?
No,
So,
there's no need for a waiver.
no need for a waiver?
Right.
All set, thank you.
Okay.
May I just ask,
Yes.
I mean, right now,
Could you just state your name and
oh,
address?
sure, sorry.
Thank you.
Dave Jaya, homeowner at 416 Abbott Street. Just for my own edification, I appreciate the different zones that we're working with, and you guys were very generous in granting and working with us and trying to figure out the patio situation we inherited. And, we already lost such a substantial amount of what we thought was our lawn when we purchased the house from the flipper. That's now being revegetated. So I guess my question is, looking at the map, the do not disturb zone is kind of like a legal fiction at this point because, it's usable lawn, we're running on it, we're mowing it. So from that perspective, installation of a playground on a fully pervious surface, wood chips, why does that offend why isn't that permissible, I guess? Even if it's just going to touch on a sliver of the do not disturb zone.
Well, I think part of it is that there's overarching tenets of the wetlands regulations. It's sort of, the first is avoid if you can, and it's like you can't avoid, so you need to. And granted, the commission, actually, I did misspoke, that the commission did allow sort of like splitting the difference between the 25 and allowing some of the lawn to be in the 25. That was discussed, but we have all this new, it was lawn all the way up to the edge of the wetland. So the commission did allow for some lawn to be in the 25 and then have the fence and then all this revegetated. So I think the commission has kind of already met you halfway a little bit with that. So those two kind of precepts of first avoiding and then you did receive a waiver for having a fence in the 25 just because of, you know, the restoration that was proposed. I guess that's my answer, but.
Yeah, I mean, just to add to that, you know, the role of the Conservation Commission is to preserve water quality in town, and isolated wetlands, bordering vegetated wetlands, riverfront, it's all part of it. We try to protect it all, and the best way to protect that is to have a good, clean buffer zone. 25-foot no disturb, 50-foot no build, 100-foot wetland buffer zone. And what that does is the water that recharges into the wetlands is purified by those good buffer zones. That's the function of a buffer zone. And that's why we have these subzones. And when we follow our bylaw and procedures of creating high-quality buffer zones, the water that recharges into the wetland is pure. And that's why we're here. That's why we do what we do. And so it may seem de minimis that, you know, a corner of something is in a no disturb zone, but it's consistent with our policy to maintain good water quality in our wetlands, and the functioning of those buffer zones is the most important part of that. And so that's why we pay so much attention to this.
The added filtration of wood chips would just be, I mean, just a bonus, no?
All right, so the short story of this one is there's a play area. Eventually, there's going to be weeds growing through this play area, and eventually someone's going to put some herbicide on that.
Oh, no, you don't
We
know me
don't-
well enough.
Well, you might move.
Oh, I can't afford to move, so.
Well, so
Does between Amy's and my
Yeah,
explanation, does that answer your
I
question?
appreciate you walking me through it, because I know the missus will ask, so I appreciate it.
Is the replication area doing well?
It's doing great. Yeah.
Great.
I kind of consider that 25 the last bastion of protection for the wetland. We have people propose everything to us, that they're going to mitigate this, they're going to clean the water with this, and all the storage stuff, and a lot of the science, it's just science, it doesn't work. And so it's just kind of like that line in the sand is, you can do whatever you want, and you can try to get permitting for other things, but at that 25, it's kind of off the table.
All right. Thank you.
I move that we grant the request for modification to the OOC for 416 Abbott Street, 242-1885.
So, second.
Motion and a second to approve the modification request. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous. You're approved. Next up, small project, NACC 376, 60 Englewood Street.
Forgot that I was coming up next.
She's on deck.
This project entails the replacement of an existing front concrete stairs and landing and a rebuild in the same footprint using pressure-treated lumber and decking with vinyl railings. Sorry, this is going to be a small project permit under Category A. Open slotted decks without roofs equal or lesser than 300 square feet. Sorry. All work will be done by hand within the footprint of the existing stairs. No dumpster will be necessary, as debris will be moved off-site, and materials will be stored in the driveway. The stairs are actually within 153 feet of the mean high water of the Shawshene River at the closest point, so it's not actually in a 100-foot buffer zone or anything. I recommend that you vote to find this project qualifies, Vote to find this project qualified as a Category A small project. Vote to approve this project as presented with the following special conditions. A pre-construction site inspection shall be held with the contractor and conservation staff to review the scope of work, and post-construction site inspection shall be held to verify compliance. It's pretty flat and there's a whole driveway in the middle, so I didn't think that erosion control was necessary. I think, is there anyone here for this project? No? No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Open it up to questions. Brad?
So no new impervious, all in the same footprint? All set?
Yep.
All set.
Sean?
No questions?
All set, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, ready for a motion.
Well, one quick question. Amy, so I know this is under the category for decks, and I think we're talking about stairs, concrete stairs and a landing?
But it's gonna be like a wood,
Yeah.
wood deck.
Do you guys
They're-
mind if I?
Like a,
Wait, are
It's
they
like a really
taking out
mini
concrete and
deck.
putting wood in?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're taking out concrete and putting wood in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna move that we approve this as an L.
You want to do now?
Yeah.
Okay.
And with the recommendations listed in the proposal.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? There being none, of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous. Approved. Next up, NACC number 377, 36 Beaver Brook Road.
Alrighty. So this is a small project under category B, replacement of existing decks regardless of size. So by way of permitting history, the property was subject to an order of conditions in the late 1990s for the construction of the house and associated appurtenances. A certificate of compliance was issued in October of 2002, and the as-built plan showed the existing deck cantilevered with the footings just outside the 50-foot no-build zone. Current wetland location is consistent with the as-built plan based on my field measurements. And the contractor anticipates keeping all of the existing footings in place. He'll need to expose one of them to show code compliance to the building inspector. The existing stairs that are coming perpendicular off of the deck now will be removed and shifted, rotated 90 degrees to land next to the patio. The new stairs will receive a concrete displacement footing, so that's the ground disturbance. And then the work will be accomplished by hand. A trailer will be parked in the driveway to haul off materials and store materials. The contractor's with us this evening if you have questions, but that's it in a nutshell. And I'd recommend finding it to qualify as Category B, and just require that we do a pre-construction meeting just to inspect erosion controls, and then a post-construction meeting just to verify compliance and removal of the straw wattle.
Okay, so to be clear, everything's in the same footprint, except for the new stairs, which is kind of going in our favor.
Yes, exactly.
All set?
No questions.
What's the size of the proposed concrete footing?
It'll probably be 5 feet by 3.
It's not called out in
No, it's not. It'll be at the base of the
3
blue
by 5.
rectangle.
Okay.
It's already a stone patio there that we'll be landing on.
Okay. Sean?
Just as long as you keep it all outside the 50, looks good.
Yeah, if you saw the shape of the deck, it's all dictated by the
Exactly why.
the 50.
Yep, that way, yep.
Al?
All set.
Okay. Amy,
Yeah, that's it. So,
any more from you?
nope.
I move that we grant the small project permit for 36 Beaverbrook Road under Category B with recommendations that are articulated by Amy.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? There being none of those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's approved unanimous.
Thank you. We'll catch up later. Okay.
Next up, RDA 234 Haymeadow Road.
So this project entails driveway rehabilitation and expansion. It's a full depth reclaim, regrading and compacting, 2-inch binder coating and 1.5-inch finish coat, and sand and emulsifying joints. The expansion will be 2 feet in width on the right side towards the west, and it does not come closer to the river than the existing house. The closest point of the existing driveway is 96 feet from the BBW and is located within the outer reaches of the riverfront area associated with Fish Brook. I recommend that if the commission is comfortable with the information presented and there are no outstanding questions or concerns, the hearing be closed and issued a -3 determination with the following conditions: prior to any work, erosion control in the form of an 8-inch mulch sock be installed, and a pre-construction site inspection to be held at the contractor, homeowner, and conservation staff, and post-construction site inspection to be held to verify compliance and approve removal of erosion controls. Howard Cooper is here from Cooper Brothers Asphalt, if you have any questions.
Okay. Brad, any questions?
Do we know why we need an extra 2 feet on either side? Just,
I think it was because he wanted just more room for the second vehicle or turning around or something. I don't know if he went over it with you at all.
Say it again, I'm sorry.
Why
Do-
the extra
yeah.
2 feet?
No, the 16 feet there now, they want to expand it to 18, 2 feet.
And why?
They're trying to obtain 2 cars abreast.
Okay.
Oh.
Right now, it's a little narrow.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I
that would be-
remember. Yeah,
that would be a little narrow.
yeah. He talked to me about it like a year, like months ago, so I didn't quite remember the conversation.
I'm all set.
Marissa?
I'm all set.
Okay. Brad? Or Sean?
Thanks, Jim. No questions.
Al?
No questions, sir.
Okay, is there any input from the public on this 234 Haymeadow Road RDA? None answer.
Move that we find a negative determination for 234 Haymeadow Road and close the hearing.
With
Yeah,
conditions.
with the conditions listed.
Great motion, Brad.
Yeah. It's been a long week.
Okay, motion and a second.
Anything else you need to walk me through there?
Any more discussion? There being none of those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's a -3 determination. Notice of intent.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
You're
you.
all set.
Well done.
So we'll issue the
Yeah.
You did a great job.
permit
See you next week.
either this week or early next.
I want to talk to him
Yeah.
about seal
I'll
coating on
send
the
you-
driveway. They
I'll
paved
send
it
you.
last year, and I told him to seal it, but they don't do residential sealing. I'm not even yell at him about that. It's probably not the right forum.
Notice of intent, NACC 372, 885 Forest Street is requested to continue to August 12th.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's continued. Enforcement order violations, 242, 829 Holt Road landfill, Mass DEP, request to continue to 8/12/26. Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. (129) Forest Street, EO follow-up.
unpermitted hardscape within the 50 and the 25. Commission issued an enforcement order requiring removal last summer. They met that deadline, and at that point, we needed another growing season for the grass, and so we just kept it open to allow for that, and the homeowners called me and said, we've mowed it a couple times, so it's looking really good, and I just recommend lifting the enforcement order, and now they can move forward with obtaining their certificate of compliance for when they did additions to the house. So recommend lifting the enforcement order.
Aye.
Well, I have to invite discussion at least. Is there any discussion on 129 Forest Street EO follow-up? There being none. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous.
Can I make
The
just a
EO is lifted.
suggestion?
Yes.
That we skip to the decision for 400 Foster and then go back to regs, just to get it out of the way.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, well, so this is the first time we're doing this. So what we're trying to do is give input for, oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we'll just get in draft order out.
I was going full blast.
Yes. Chaos
No
coming
way.
out.
Okay, this one is 400 Foster Street.
Yeah.
Okay, yep.
Can I vote on this since I wasn't privy to the previous discussion?
Al, Sean, Jack, and Marissa can vote, but you missed two, so no.
Amy, on the first page, under D,
Yep.
the flood elevation is not defined. 123 was the closest available flood
Okay.
elevation, so we don't want to define it.
All right. Okay.
You can just say it lies within 100-year floodplain zone A.
AE. It is an AE.
It's AE.
No, actually, you're right. It's an A.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that was extrapolated, right?
Yeah, that's
Or
like the
integral.
closest available data.
Gotcha.
It's probably 123. But
Okay, all right, gotcha. Got it. What's that?
So we're actually doing entrenched silt fence?
Well, I'm recommending, so we're doing regular mulch stock at the limit of work, but we're doing a restoration area that's at the, between the wetland and the 25, so I just wanted, and they're gonna rototill that area, so I just want a stretch of silt fence at the wetland edge to protect it.
That makes sense. I just don't see that done very often up here, the entrenched fence anymore.
Well, I just think
I'd
silt
bet if
fence
you're
is gonna
roughly
be
up-
plenty for that little area.
I think the bond is appropriate.
Okay.
How we doing? Any,
I don't have any other comments.
Me either.
okay,
I think that was all set too.
I think so.
So with that in mind, I move that we grant the order of conditions for 242, 1928, 400 Foster Street. Foster.
As amended.
As amended.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? There being none of those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the order, and an
Brad
abstention, one
abstains.
abstention. Thank you.
All righty. Okey-dokey. All right.
Okay, so now it's time for our wetland protection regulations, revisions, input. And what our intent is to go through as much as we can in the span of about 15 minutes. And I'll try and control the clock the best I can. We wanted to use Amy's memo as a guide to our discussions. She's got 13 points, not 17. She's got 13 points of discussion of potential changes that we should discuss. And just to be orderly, let's start at number 1 and go right down the list. So what I want to do is have Amy give just a very brief summary of the point at issue, starting with number 1. I'll go to the commission for questions, input, and we'll record those, open it up to the public for input, and then resolve the point, move on to the next one. Okay.
Cool. All righty. So I started with the table of contents, adding a small project permit after, or within the 4.0 permit application section. Right now, it's a separate document unto itself. It should be incorporated into the body. So we're going to put it into the table of contents, and I will get a page number once we're done. As I scroll down to the second page of the table of contents, we have appendices. Right now, Appendix A has application checklists and some other appendix that, honestly, these documents are subject to change. I think we shouldn't make them static and attach them to the regs, so I think we should do away with them and just let them be. I can post them on the website, absolutely have them available to the applicants, but that just capturing them here in the regs just makes it difficult to change them. Ephemeral pool criteria should stay as an appendix, however, because it does really get into the weeds about what's a vernal pool. So that'll stay, but those will eventually need some major overhaul for our next phase of regs changes. So that is that.
That's point number
For
1.
point number
Oh,
one.
small project permit.
Yep.
But that's all.
In the
Right.
appendix.
The addition of that and the removal of the appendix, right?
Yeah, which I did in January.
Yep.
Everybody good with that?
Yes.
Comments?
Is that page 2? We talked-
Table of contents.
Yeah, I'm on the contents.
Yep.
Right there.
Oh, you got it. I was using it.
Bottom
Looking at it
page.
here. I have it on my phone. I didn't know we had a copy
Yes.
here.
Okay.
Yep.
Great, thank you.
Try to keep up with you, Amy.
Okay,
Get fast.
okay.
Okay, so the modifications are indicated pretty specifically on the red line document. Did you add the small project
She did.
It's on the first
Further
page.
down into
further down?
the body of the
On
document.
the, if you go back to the first page.
Oh, yes, I did.
Back here?
It's in
Oh, there we go.
Just-
Okay,
And I'll
got it.
assign it the page number once this gets.
Table of contents is the hardest part. Nice job.
Okay, yeah, right.
I agree with you.
Okay, so, looks like we have agreement on regulations revisions, point number 1. Is there any public input at this point? There being none. So, I don't think we vote on this. I think we've indicated our intentions for the revisions, specifically with working off the red line document. I don't think we have to vote on it, because I think there will be a vote. The bylaw subcommittee also is in charge of the regulations, and I think it's important that the final wording, the final language be provided by that subcommittee, and we would vote on that, okay? So maybe, go ahead.
I thought we were gonna go through this, vote on these, just to get them done, and then later on vote on the other changes. Like, do 2 votes, right? Because we wanted to just get these done.
You mean the regs versus the bylaw?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea, but I think what Jack was trying to stay away from was, we vote on the table of contents, and then we move on to the
Yeah,
next.
no.
Yeah.
Should we wait until the end of this session and vote on what we voted today, or do we want to wait till next time when Matt and David might have some opinion on the things that we've talked about?
We'd be a cat chasing our tail on that. I think, everybody's able to provide input offline or, in the public meeting, so.
It just seems like we're trying to follow a linear path here. We've opened up the opportunity to go 2 steps back by not voting on what we discussed.
So we go through 1 through 8 tonight, vote, and then.
Yeah.
We vote, we vote on what? The general language, and vote again on the final language of the entire document.
I'm just wondering, though, as we go through these, are we going to say, well, we should have put that in the table of contents, but we voted on that 2 meetings ago, so I think we want to vote on a whole document, not just on certain articles as we go through. I think we want consensus, and if somebody has an issue with it, we should talk about it. And if at the next meeting, Matt comes here and says, I think this should be in the table of contents, if we do it this way, I don't think we can say no. I think, sure, if you want to talk about it, but it would have been good if you were here.
Yeah,
Yeah, so, but I do think in the end, you're going to have a vote on the regs, a vote on the bylaw, and those will be the 2 formal votes taken going through this process, I think, and that's just my thought.
And that was my thought process, too. I don't think we're doing anything official tonight. Amy's given us some good direction here. I think we're voting on some pretty specific direction, but that may change in the final document, and I don't want to poison the well on that.
Okay, not voting. You're halfway through your 15 minutes. Let's go.
Well, yeah, we've got, about halfway through. Okay. Point number 2, references and citations.
These are easy. Section 178.1 is no longer our bylaw, it's chapter 190. There's other citations for, our stormwater bylaw and those regs, so I fixed all of those.
So those are interspersed throughout the
Yes.
entire document?
Yep.
Okay. And those are indicated with red line
Yep.
changes? Okay. Brad, did you?
No, I have no general issue with you correcting.
Okay, is there any more input on making small corrections to rev values and all that Amy references in point number 2? Sounds like no.
Where is that?
It's,
I have the memorandum. I'm trying to match it with the.
It's
Number-
throughout the
it's
whole
throughout.
document. You're going to see,
yeah.
There's just like little
it's just a little,
words and,
Gotcha.
yeah, it's,
like, it doesn't say act anymore, it's just WPA and little things like that.
Yeah,
Chapter
like-
190 instead of section
Yeah, like
178.9.
where to mail an application, it's not at Osgood Street anymore. It's
Yeah.
120 Main Street, so
I mean,
you'll
they can
see that.
try.
All right. I understand now.
You good with that?
Yeah, I just, did-
Okay. Sounds like we're in agreement on point number 2, and we still have 6 minutes to go. Point number 3, section 1.2, purpose.
So, as it reads now, it only lists the additional 3 interests that the bylaw established. The bylaw does list all of the 8 plus R3.
I was gonna say, we have the interest of the act is there's at least 10
There's 8, and then there's 3 that we add.
that.
We only list the 3 that we add in our regulations. We should list all of our interests and then say, and in addition, this 3, da, 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 da. So, that's what I did.
I'm here for it.
Good job, Amy.
So under 1.2 purpose, the red is your proposal.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay, got it. I got it now.
I think it makes sense.
It does make sense because the interests of the act should all be consolidated into one place.
Sure.
Because as you said to that gentleman, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
The interests of the act.
There you go. Okay, any more input on the purpose, that sub-point A? Okay, that's the only one. Any more input on the purpose section?
Nope.
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 That's 1.2. Okay, is there any public input for section 1.2 purpose? No. Okay, we can move along to memo point number 4, section 1.3 jurisdiction.
Okay, so I thought that the resources should just receive alpha bullets, so it's easy to refer to section 1.3A instead of just plain old dots.
Good idea.
And then I just rearranged them so that they follow how they're presented in the rest of the body of the document. So I just moved ephemeral pool on top because that's the first resource area that is discussed later on in the document. So that's all I did there. That's it.
So you didn't add any resources?
I didn't add any resources.
Okay.
Is there no bullet for land subject to,
I think that,
because it,
yeah, I think that I left a note that
Oh.
there, you just missed one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was in my notes too.
All right.
And then you also have the part about the USGS mapping.
You talking about stormwater?
land subject to flooding.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
So I don't see a red flag there.
It's gonna be
It just
G,
needs another,
It
yeah.
just needs an extra
letters.
letter.
F, G,
So we need to
Land
add
subject to
that.
storm
Yeah,
flowage,
that's in
flooding
there.
by groundwater, surface,
H.
water.
Yep.
What is that?
That'll turn a,
Yeah, it doesn't have a letter.
It just doesn't
it
have
just
a
needs,
letter.
it just
Oh,
needs
that's
an
what we're
F.
missing.
Yeah.
So we
It's
checking it
gonna
off?
turn, it's gonna turn into an F, and then the G will
Okay.
be an H.
All right, very good. All right.
So, I added additionally, so in Riverfront, when we're looking for the 200-foot riverfront areas or perennial streams, I just add additionally, the USGS national map should be reviewed for other stream status, because that's where we go now.
That's where we got some comment, didn't we? Didn't we get some
Right.
comment regarding that?
Yes, you're right. There were.
Seems, the comments came in about that particular
Yes.
section, and it seems like maybe the national map isn't wholly accurate for our area?
maybe
Yeah.
gets outdated from time to time.
Oh. Is that-
Yeah,
No,
I
it's,
mean,
Yeah.
it just says it's not readily apparent on the website, so
Right.
I think linking it
yes,
maybe,
yeah,
Would
because
help.
it's online.
yeah.
It's not like a physical map, so,
And that gets updated regularly.
yes, it does, it does. Yep. So adding a link online,
For both maps, the USGS and North Andover River map?
I think the idea is getting not you, oh wait,
so the North Andover Riverfront map,
Are we on this?
Not yet.
Or number 4,
is
1.3.
like,
Anything federal.
it's a
I'm sorry.
static
Yeah,
map.
yeah.
Keep taking away from.
It does point out, you know, it does point out the named rivers,
Yes.
The major ones, not,
but not all of them.
yeah,
Not all the potential
yeah.
perennial streams that may not have names. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's also frankly just harder to utilize. Like half of the time that I tell an applicant to find them, their location on the map, they can't even see it.
Yeah. it's
So I
not
have to
the
do it
great-
for them.
it's not-
Yeah, yeah.
It's not the
So
greatest.
then-
It's not great.
It's visually, it's
Refer
not.
everyone to
Okay.
Oliver.
Yeah.
I think we might have some input from the public on this point. Yes. And thanks for your email to us, and if you could just summarize it briefly for us, that would be good. We've got about two minutes. You got 2 minutes.
Thank you. Melinda Perone, 65 Meadowwood Road. My comments are the ones that you have in front of you. I was not able to find the North Andover Riverfront area map on the North Andover website, Town of North Andover website. Even Map Geo is not apparent when you go on the website, so you have to search for it. Whereas in other towns like Andover, Middleton, you can find Map Geo quickly, and it's readily available.
Map Geo, you mean?
Map Geo. Did I say
Yeah,
that wrong?
So it's property and maps on our website. It's this
Map
one.
Geo, and then you have an overlay for water resources on Map Geo. I don't know what the North Andover Riverfront area map is. I've never seen it.
Okay.
And so I've been on the website frequently, and I haven't come across it. Labels on the Map Geo map are missing for Shawshene River, Rocky Brook, Cedar Brook, and Boston Brook, although Farnham's Mill Pond is clearly labeled
On the Map Geo, you said?
on Map Geo. Kachikowick River is labeled between Mill Pond and High Street Mill Pond, the Mill Pond behind High Street. But it's not contiguous with the Merrimack River on Map Geo.
So it sounds like you're suggesting to sort of clean it up a little bit, updating the North Andover Riverfront map.
I haven't been able to access the North Andover map, so
right.
all I can access to is Map Geo, and it's
Yeah.
not apparent.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the last question with regards to that is, I can access the USGS map, but Rocky Brook and Cedar Brook remain unlabeled.
On the USGS national map?
Yeah,
Are they unlabeled just by name, or does it at least show that it's a
it
perennial?
does show,
Okay,
a line,
okay.
but they are not labeled as
Okay.
Rocky Brook or Cedar Brook. The only time I've seen Cedar Brook labeled is when National Grid came to propose to you. They were doing work for the parking lot at 1101 Turnpike Street. They had a map that had Cedar Brook labeled, but I don't know the access. I don't know the,
Yeah, so the
Okay.
riverfront map is inside the permits and applications, so it's a convoluted path to it, but it's inside our permits and application.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Did you, thank you.
Is there a reason why we would hesitate to use Mass Mapper
Yeah,
as a
Mass-
resource?
Mass Mapper tends to be a lot more accurate.
You can usually turn on resource areas and it'll show you generally where the riverfront is, obviously not as delineation.
As opposed to the national map?
No, it takes data from the national
Oh,
map.
it takes data
Yeah.
from the national.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about it getting defunded tomorrow.
Okay, so do we want to,
But the only thing I would just add is there could be rivers that are not on the national map that are on our local map, so.
I think the long-term goal should be to probably provide a decent map of the town where our riverfront areas are.
because in our regulations, if it's a named stream, we take the entire length of it. Even if, say, national map says, here's Mosquito Brook, but this part's intermittent, we're gonna call the whole thing. So that's our distinction.
So it sounds
But
like,
it says it, I mean, we explain that in our regs, that,
Yeah.
so,
so it sounds like what you're trying to do is get some accurate information to define riverfront areas in our regs. It sounds like a link to the national map, Map Geo, or Mass Mapper might be a good solution to get that, to get the national data on what we have in town. And then our riverfront map has rivers specifically called out. And I thought that was well, in my personal opinion, it was a pretty good feature. Yeah, there it is right there. It was a pretty good feature for us. So, would that be updated and maybe put in a more obvious place, Amy?
yeah, we can do that.
I think that one of the, I think one of the problems is just that if then, like, people know that they still have a perennial stream if it's not one of the major ones.
Right,
Which-
exactly.
My one note is that Scug River is not on it, even though it's a perennial named stream, river.
What river?
Scug
Scug
River?
River, off of Penny Lane.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, it's just not on there.
Hmm.
I didn't know it existed until it's Scug?
Skug.
S-K-U-G. Is it two Gs? Two Gs.
A lot of
sorry.
it is in Andover, but there's a stretch that's in Andover, North Andover.
Yeah,
I was just wondering why I'd never heard of it, I guess.
Yeah,
know.
it's
I hadn't either.
Consider
It's
it a
not-
different town.
not a big stretch of it, but
Gotcha.
but it's a river, so. They're just missing information from the
Missing
plans.
It sounds like we got some work to do if we want to make it clear where our riverfront area is.
yes,
Sounds like that.
yeah.
okay.
And that's something we should probably do.
Yep, I would agree.
So we have some direction today, get
Yep.
some good datum for all the rivers, and then our specific streams. We definitely want to do that on a separate document linked to the regs. So there's a follow-up on that one,
Yep,
and then that would conclude our discussion for tonight, since we're well past 15 minutes.
Where are we concluding?
Okay, on the memo,
On the memo.
yep, we've got a little bit of work to do on
4C.
section 4C,
Okay. Gotcha.
which is section 1.3 in the regs.
Gotcha, got it.
And we will continue then with point number 5 of the memo, fee schedule, next time.
Next time.
all right, signature pages.
Same that time, same that change.
Next
Okay.
time.
Should I move to adjourn?
Please do.
Please
Move
do.
to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? And that's unanimous. We are adjourned.